Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Later this evening, the Washington Commanders take on the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. But wanted to get some news out to you guys here in the early portion of the day to kick off your NFL Sunday. First up, the latest Commanders trade intel that we got yesterday, a big news dump surrounding what the Washington Commanders' plans are for the NFL trade deadline this year. And then the Commanders get a big boost heading into tonight's game versus the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to talk about what that boost is at the end of today's show, so make sure you guys stick around. But later this evening, Ponzi and I will be live here on the Commanders Report starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, a full extensive pregame show getting you guys ready for this matchup. Then we'll have live play-by-play and analysis of the game itself. Then we have extensive postgame coverage as well. So if you guys want the full fan experience for Commanders fans for tonight's Sunday Night Football action, make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now and join us at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time for our Commanders Report watch party. So let's start here with the latest trade intel from Dianna Russini from The Athletic, who said yesterday in her article surrounding the latest going into the NFL trade deadline is that the Washington Commanders are currently in the market to buy an edge rusher before the NFL trade deadline hits on Tuesday afternoon. Now, of course, the defensive end room for the Washington Commanders has been hit pretty hard. Now, Jacob Martin has played pretty darn well over the last couple of weeks. Frankie Louvu, I think, played pretty well when he was asked to play defensive end over the last 2 weeks as well. Von Miller is a decent pass rush specialist, but then the depth is really, really tough. You got Preston Smith and Jalen Holmes, two guys that I think are pretty much worthless for the Washington Commanders, and really you only want them on the field if one of the top three guys gets injured, okay? So I think that you could certainly add another defensive end to this room if you want to, and if you still feel like you have a chance to compete down the stretch for a playoff spot. Now, what I'd say when it comes to the Commanders seeking edge rushers is don't expect like a huge name. Don't expect them to add like a star level guy or a superstar level guy that's going to cost a day one or day two draft pick, because the Commanders just don't have a whole lot of draft capital in the early rounds of the NFL draft this year. You've got a first round pick and a third round pick, and that's it for the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft, and that's really where you get your starter level talent. Pretty much round 5 and below, you're kind of a little bit more lottery ticket style of draft picks there. The Commanders have a few of those, and I think that they might be willing to part with one of those, kind of, especially a 6th round draft pick, to get somebody that's maybe a lower level kind of decent starter, but not a star level guy, not a younger player with a lot of upside that's going to cost more. So guys like Trey Hendrickson, guys like Jermaine Johnson, Jalen Phillips, I'll throw Max Crosby on that list as well, even though there's pretty much no chance that he's going to get traded. So, I think if the Commanders were maybe, playing better this year, and they had a better record and they for sure were making the playoffs, maybe they make a big splash for maybe like a Trey Hendrickson or something like that. But I really don't think that that's going to be in the cards at this point in time, guys. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I would kind of look for Washington to look for a guy that's worth like a day 3 draft pick at this point. Somebody that's not like a high-end starter, somebody that's probably not, on the younger side of things, that still has a lot of upside. So guys like Bradley Chubb, for example, from the Miami Dolphins, a little bit older. He's had a lot of injuries, but he's a bigger body. I think he would fit with this Washington Commanders defense, and of course he's played a lot of ball. Then Boye Mafe, that Seattle edge rusher room has a lot of bodies in it, and they might be willing to let one go for the right price. Cam Jordan, good run defender still, but he's not much of a pass rusher, so that's kind of one where you can look at there. He's a longtime veteran. He's probably in the final year of his career, though, so keep that in mind. Arnold Ebiketie from the Atlanta Falcons is another possibility, and then Kingsley Enagbare from the Green Bay Packers could be another possibility for the Washington Commanders. So these are 5 names to keep your eye on at the edge rusher position. I do think if the Commanders are buying at the deadline, this is probably the position that they add a player in. So predict it for me down there in the comment section. Will the Washington Commanders trade for an edge rusher before the deadline? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at PrizePicks. While I tell you about PrizePicks today, simply give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at PrizePicks. And you and I, we both make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Football season is here, and you better believe I'm going to be getting my PrizePicks lineups in all season long. PrizePicks is super simple to play. Just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks also puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And a new feature from PrizePicks this season that I absolutely love and I think is a really good idea is injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and does not return, PrizePicks will not count it as a loss. So to take a look at my PrizePicks lineup for tonight's Sunday Night Football action between the Commanders and Seahawks, I'm taking the more on Deebo Samuel receiving yards with Terry McLaurin out of the lineup. I'm taking the more on touchdowns for Bill Krosky-Merritt. Hopefully he can get back, playing like we know Bill can play tonight. Then we're going to take the more on Sam Darnold passing yards going up against a secondary here in Washington that has been struggling as of late. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup on the PrizePicks app today. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. So some more kind of trade intel here, this time from Ben Standig, who had 3 separate reports yesterday. He said that the Washington Commanders need, quote-unquote, a significant offer to unload Deebo Samuel before the NFL trade deadline. I think that's probably the right approach for now, but if the Commanders lose tonight versus the Seattle Seahawks, if you can get a 5th for him and you can get your return on investment on him and get an additional 5th rounder, you're sitting at 3-6. Your season's essentially over. You have Treylon Burks who can fill his role for the rest of the season in the offense. If I can get a 5th round pick for Deebo Samuel at the deadline, again, if you lose tonight, I think I'm taking that offer, okay? I think what, Standig is kind of referring to here for a significant offer, probably like an early day 3, like a 4th round, or a late day 2, like a 3rd round pick is probably the price range that he's referring to there. And if we win today, I think I would need a day 2 pick to consider trading Deebo Samuel. I'd also need to see Treylon Burks have a really good game tonight versus the Seattle Seahawks for me to feel comfortable taking Deebo out of this lineup if, in fact, I'm still trying to win and trying to make a push for the playoffs after tonight's potential win versus the Seattle Seahawks. Another report that Standig had yesterday was that teams are interested in offensive lineman Andrew Wiley. And I've been saying that Wiley could get dealt for a couple weeks now because he's somebody that played pretty well when he was asked to start for this team this year. He's a longtime starter that's got experience at both tackle and guard. And, you just don't see many starting level offensive linemen being potentially available via trade, especially for like the day 3 pick value that Andrew Wiley is probably worth at this point in his career. So expect some teams to be calling about Andrew Wiley, and especially if the Commanders lose tonight, I would expect the Commanders to get another draft pick out of Andrew Wiley before Tuesday's deadline. Sticking with the offensive line here, Standig also says that Washington is not shopping Brandon Coleman at this point. Now, he doesn't say that they won't consider trading him. It's just that they're not actively really looking to let him go. Now, of course, he's played left tackle. We'll see if Laremy Tunsil's able to give it a go tonight with his hamstring injury, but if not, it's going to be Coleman. He's played guard, he's played tackle. He was a former 3rd-round pick who's got a lot of physical traits that a lot of teams may be interested in. So we'll see what ends up happening with Brandon Coleman, but it seems like the Commanders still like him and still want to develop him. So I would think, his price tag might be a little bit higher than an older veteran like Andrew Wiley, for example. Now make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you want to help the Washington Commanders win tonight and help out our channel. The YouTube algorithm gets boosted every time someone clicks that thumbs up icon. It puts this video in front of more Commanders fans like yourselves, and that gets new eyeballs on our channel, which leads to more subscribers and all that great stuff. So if you guys want to help out our channel today, the fastest and easiest way to do that is to click that thumbs up icon. I greatly appreciate your guys' support. Now tonight, Treylon Burks, former first-round pick out of Arkansas, formerly of the Tennessee Titans, will be making his Washington Commanders debut. He was elevated off of practice squad, and with Terry McLaurin being out of the lineup, this could be a big boost to the Washington Commanders in tonight's Sunday Night Football matchup. And, of course, he's going to be making his debut under the lights in front of a national audience. Now, Burks is 25 years old. He's got a bunch of size for a receiver, and he's got great movement skills for somebody that's 225 pounds. Plus, he's got, like I said, good ball skills, can make those tough catches down the field. He's got great speed after the catch, especially when he gets rolling on those crossing routes and on those dig routes that we know Jaden Daniels loves to run in Cliff Kingsbury's offense here. It was the 18th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft for a reason. He was drafted actually to be A.J. Brown's replacement, but, he's not the best route runner in the world. He has had some drop issues in the past, and then he can't stay healthy is really the big thing with him. He gets injured a lot, so hopefully he can stay healthy for the rest of this season and reestablish himself as a legitimate starting caliber wide receiver for the Washington Commanders moving forward. And hey, if you get that out of this guy, 25 years old, first-round talent, there's been a lot of people inside the Commanders building that have been raving about Treylon Burks' talent over the last few weeks. John Keim from ESPN said this the other day. Pass game coordinator Brian Johnson said wide receiver Treylon Burks had a, quote, really, really good practice, unquote, on Thursday. Quote, he'll definitely be a guy that can help us. You see that talent. You see the ball skills, unquote, said Burks. Note-taking was, quote, as impressive as I've ever seen drawing plays. So not only do you get the physical talent from Treylon Burks, but apparently, his note-taking, his diligence, his professionalism is off the charts, and people inside that Commanders building have been raving about him ever since they brought him in just a couple of weeks ago. And Lord knows, man, with Terry McLaurin out of the lineup here this evening, Washington could sure use a hero's entrance from this young man to come in, play a really good game of football here, and really establish himself as a mainstay starter in this lineup, because we know, and we've known for a while, that if you take Terry McLaurin out of this lineup, the depth is not fantastic. Deebo Samuel is a good piece, but he can't necessarily be your true number one guy, your alpha that forces defenses to respect the passing game, and we haven't seen anybody else really step up into that role. We've seen some flashes from Luke McCaffrey. We've seen some flashes from Jalen Lane. We've seen some flashes from Chris Moore and Robbie Chosen and all the other players that have had an opportunity to play with this Commanders offense this year, but now it's Treylon Burks' time, and I think we'll see him early and often in this football game. Hopefully he can give this offense a big boost, and hopefully he can develop that instant connection with Jaden Daniels, and hopefully he can be a mainstay in this Commanders offense for many years to come. So true or false? Let me know down there in the comment section. Treylon Burks will score a touchdown in his debut tonight. Type T if you think that's true, or type F if you think that's false. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. I'm feeling a little spicy. I'm going to say he gets a touchdown tonight. That'll be it for today's edition of the Commanders Report by Chat Sports. We will be live once again here this evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Another primetime watch party right here on the Commanders Report. You don't want to be late. So again, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. And until then, guys, hail to the Commanders.